Okay, for as long as software has existed, there's been this thing called free and open source software. I think this existed before like all this proprietary bullshit nonsense as well. And today, instead of persuading you why you should change to this, I'm just going to show you some really cool shit you can do with it and flex on the word cucks. Basically, I made this video earlier showing you how to get LaTeX set up in VS Code and how that's the best note-taking environment. And to some degree, I was wrong.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
You can just use Vim itself or NeoVim, and you can get some cool plugins and extend functionality. And this is something you cannot do on any other IDE at all, even VS Code. Vim's configurability and everything and extendability is just way better than VS Code as well, which is something I learned after I made the video. So this is like a sequel to that video as well. And I'm going to make a video later showing my setup and everything and how you can get it configured as well. And I'm going to give you a minimal setup as well. But for now, let's just calm the fuck down and flex on some word cucks. So basically, here's a clip of me doing some cool shit. And I'm going to explain how I do it, but not too much because you can kind of learn that yourself. So, okay, let's get the terminal running and flex on the word cucks. All right, so this is called a terminal. This is where we lincox users hack into your hentai history. I press nvim dot and it lists this current directory. And then now here's another cool thing I can do. If I press M, it takes me to this nerd tree menu where I can literally just make files and run command and shit. So I'm just going to press P to copy to path and then I'm going to get rid of that shit. All right, now I'm going to open a file. All right, I just press enter. And then what I can do is I can press Control N to open the same menu again, and then I can open subfolders and shit like that. I press Control N, I can close that shit again. Stuff you cannot do in any other IDE, by the way. Like you just can't. So now let's say I want to do something like print Apple is faggy 5 times. Now, what a normal user would do is they would copy this thing with Control C, and then they'd press Control V like 5 times. Like they'd use the mouse, this dumbass little thing here. They'd click the next line and then they'd press Control V a bunch of times. But there's a cooler way of doing that. You press Y, you yank the line, and then you press P like 5 times or whatever the hell. And boom, there you go. It's up. Press D to delete a line instead of backspace. And now let's say I want to change this to Microsoft is faggy. So what I can do now is what a normal IDE cuck would do, an IntelliJ, PyCharm, like what are like you know these normal cuck IDEs, right? What they would do is they would retype print Microsoft is faggy, and then they would Control C and then Control V 5 times, and then they'd highlight all of this shit and click delete. But there's a much cooler, much more Chad way of doing that, and I'm going to show you how. I'm going to show you 2 ways, but there's usually infinite ways. What? But there's usually like infinite ways you can do this stuff. All right, so we go to the beginning of the line, and what you can do in Vim, okay, or in NeoVim or any other fucking fork, you can record keystrokes and have the computer execute them as many times as you want. And I'm going to show you what that actually looks like here. I'm going to press QA to start recording a macro. I'm going to press E twice to go to this section. I'm going to go to A, press V, go here, delete all that, press I, insert mode, Microsoft. I'm going to press KJ, and I'm going to press Shift 4, and then Shift 6, sorry. And then I'm going to go down again. And then I'm going to stop recording the macro, and I'm going to go at A. Dab on the proprietary cucks. Do this in any IDE, except NeoVim. And then I'm going to press 10 at A, and it does it 10 times. So it runs the command 10 times. I don't even have to press at A 10 times. It just runs the whole thing 10 times. And now, we just changed all those lines in like a second. So now let's say I want to write something like, now I want to change it back. Now you can just press U to undo instead of Control Z. U is slightly easier to press. But let's say I want to say Microsoft is as faggy as Apple. So instead of just typing the new line like the IDE cucks would, what you can actually do is I'm going to show you a cool plugin. All right. So I'm going to go into visual mode. I'm going to go down here, press Control M. I'm going to go into visual mode, go all the way down here, press Control M. Press V again. All right, now I have multiple carrots, and this is called multiple caret. This is some plugin you can get. And what I'm going to do is Microsoft, or let's say Apple is more faggy, because now we have to change a word in the middle, right? How are you going to change the word in the middle? Well, you can do that with multi-caret. And check this out. I'm going to press I, and I can actually delete. I go Apple, and then now I can go into insert mode, but still stay in multi-caret mode. And I'm going to move to the end over here, not to the end of the line, because that's where the bracket is. Then you're outside the print function in Python. I'm going to press I again, space, look at that. or I can go back here, right? More faggy than Apple, than Microsoft. And I press KJ twice to go into normal mode, to exit multi-carried mode. And look at that. This is cool shit. How do you cannot tell me this is not cool shit. And then now, imagine having functionality like this when you're writing a LaTeX or something. That is insane. You can also make all sorts of snippets, tab triggers. I mean, okay, I'm not going to go into that right here, but you get the damn point, right? You cannot do this on any IDE. And here's the crazy part. Learning to do this kind of stuff is ridiculously easy. You can learn all of this in an afternoon. And that macro I just showed you, it turns out you can have not one, not two, not three, but fucking 26 at a time. You can have 26 different macros existing at a time. That's fucking insane, okay? And you can learn all this shit in one afternoon. Holy shit. No annual subscriptions, fully free. You can configure it how you like. And there's no bloatware, no telemetry, no fees like VS Cooke or IntelliJackass or any of that crap. And then the nerd tree thing I showed you, is that not cool? You can just navigate through your files and then go into the terminal itself from that. And then everything I showed you here, this is just like the surface of the wild shit you can do with this Vim setup. And at this point, I'd also tell you guys to don't do this on Windows. Just get a fucking Linux distro. Just get Linux Mint. Like, oh, there you go. That's like the simple, like basic bitch distro, I guess. You don't need to boot Arch. I mean, you can do that too. That's not hard to do. My brother's fucking 14 and he did it. Okay, that stuff is not like hard. So I would say, if you're using a computer right now, you just swap to a Linux distro, throw your fucking phone away. You don't need that shit. Literally, you don't need a fucking phone. They're just made to track the shit out of you. Swap to a Linux distro. Don't do shit on Windows and just start learning how to use your tools. Except this thing. Fuck this thing. Don't use these things. These things are horrible. Learn how to use the laptop. I mean, they're such an integral part of our lives, are they not? And we should encourage literacy with the laptops. We should encourage people to know more about it. Why is it that when it comes to like laptops and digital knowledge, ignorance and arrogance and complacency are all normalized and justified? Ooh, you know too much. You're a nerd. That's bullshit. You're supposed to know more. It's a good thing. You're supposed to not pay for stupid shit like IntelliJ or whatever. And basically, don't use Mac. That's another thing. Like Windows, I kind of get it, but using Mac is like shaving with a fucking rolling pin. How do you shave with a rolling pin? You can't shave with a rolling pin. That's the problem. Don't use that shit. Please open your mind, learn new shit, and become a cool guy. Like this shit. But yeah, I'll make another video soon teaching you guys how to get this shit set up. Very simple. There are already videos on YouTube if you don't want to watch this ugly piece of shit.
Ugly and gay.
Learn shit. No ignorance. Not cool. Alright. Fuck you guys. Go flash a Linux distro. Fucking Mac fags, bro.